shouldn't speak so soon, but I want to finish the rear airbags today. Getting mounted right here. Like I said, I'm getting this done today. Here's the other side. I've got to contend with where the brake hose, the rear brake hose, mounts to the hard line right there. But actually, I don't think I'll be getting into that area. I just need to make sure I got to get rid of that clip right there that used to hold the fuel line. So I'll get rid of that, clean that. Might have to move that bracket just a little bit where that brake line fastens. Probably should just go ahead and get the shocks out of there today. I won't be dealing with them. Take the rear wheels off, that might make things easier. I don't know yet, but I'm just gonna get started. I hope to have these rear bags done today. I'm gonna spend about 6 hours on them.
So I got the airbags from Switch Suspension. It's the same company that I ordered the front airbags from. Same manufacturer. It's Specialties. And the same model, or the same line, the same product line as far as the composite, the plastic top and bottom. I read about these first online before I called the company. I kind of had an idea that this is what I was looking for. And the reason is these do not balloon. They remain the same width no matter where you have them, whether it's slammed all the way down to 3 inches or all the way up at 10 inches as high as it goes. The size, the diameter of the bag never changes. So it doesn't balloon out as you add air or let air out. So if you have clearance for this bag, that clearance will remain. This is a Specialties SS7 or 7-inch. So it's 7 inches from outside to outside. The front was SS6, 6 inches, because that's all I could get in there. Originally, last fall or last winter when I was doing the front end and I ordered them, I spoke with, I believe, Tom at Switch Suspension, and he said that he had a Cadillac, an old Cadillac that was all on bags, and he had the 7s, and he wanted me to put the 7s on the van also, but for better ride, so it would be more squishy, so to speak. But I could not fit a 7-inch bag in there. A 6 was as wide as I could go. So I went with 6 inches on the front, but then on the rear I have more room width-wise, so I went ahead and went with the 7-inch on the rear. Just again, if I've said it 100 times, I apologize, but I'm looking for more of a natural ride, more of like how this van would ride from the factory. As far as travel, I'm trying to get travel out of it. I want it to ride like a Cadillac. I don't want it to ride like my work van or even worse, you know, like this, 1 inch down, up and down. When I ordered these, I spoke with Edgar, but he was great. We spent like 20 minutes on the phone together, and he would email me pictures of what he was thinking, like when I was trying to think of what kind of brackets I was going to use. He would email me pictures of products that they had in stock, and then I would send him pictures of the van and underneath and what I was dealing with, and we went back and forth like that for like 20 minutes before I actually placed the order. I don't think I'm going to do the expansions. I was going to do expansion tanks, an expansion tank per bag, but I've talked to people who say it will work. People that I trust say it will work, and then people that I trust say it won't work. And Grandpa is in that boat, and so was Switch. When I talked to Edgar at Switch, he said, no, what you're thinking won't work. I wanted to send the extra air, so when you hit a bump and this bag squishes down quickly, I thought if I gave it a tank with a big 1/2-inch airline, I thought I'd be able to send some air into another tank and have it squeeze inside of that tank and get more travel out of these. But if you think about a car tire doesn't change pressure when you, if you set a tire at 32 PSI when it's up on jacks, and then you drop the weight of the vehicle down on that tire, it's still 32 PSI because the volume is still the same inside the tire. So I think it's a volume issue. If I was to do expansion tanks, they would have to have like rubber bladders inside of them, and I would have the air set on the bladder side lower, so when you do hit a bump, then it could send extra air in, and that bladder would condense and squeeze in and out. And I don't have room for that kind of volume, a size of tank that would probably make a difference.
This sits in there like this with the tire being over here. Let's see, I'll do it from a different perspective here. The tire is over here. The leaf spring runs right here. This is the top of the bag. So in order to clear the leaf spring, I've got to move this off center of the frame. So basically the frame is going to end about right there. So this will all be up against the frame, the bottom side of the frame. And then this is going to fasten on the side of the inside of the frame. And basically what I gotta do is I've gotta back this up enough to where I can turn those, get a socket on those bolts there. I don't want to put it all the way up against there, then not be able to get a socket on there and have to only be able to use an open end wrench on them. So that's getting welded like that, and I'm going to reinforce it right here and here, so because all this is going to be hanging off of the frame. So that's what I'm building. I've got to make quite a bit of cuts here before I can start welding it together. But I've got a line here, and I've got a line on here. And that line on this one is just to center it up. So I'm just centering it with that center hole right there. Just needs to go like that. Now I want to get from here out to this edge here, 2 5/8. Cut these off. Should be identical also, and they are. That was done. Okay. This is the back side. This is the side that's going to go against the frame. And this is the front side that hangs over. But are they buttresses? Okay, I gotta let these cool. I'm gonna do some painting, and I'll let you right back in. All right, this is the first fitment. I like that. I can't really see this way though. I don't know what the bag's doing this way. I got good eyes on it this way. The frame is not 90 here, so it does me no good. I just want it tight against the frame. I'm not worried about making this top exactly 90 degrees. I'm not being nearly as precise as I was on the front. The front, the airbags are the only suspension. The rear, I've got the leaf springs still, I've got the shocks. These are just, basically I spent $300 to raise the back of the van like 3 inches, even with the front. Sad but true. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna tack it right to the rear end. I can't think of any reason why I shouldn't. I can paint all this. When I take the rear end out, I can, obviously I'll remove the bag. I'll be able to paint this whole bracket and finish welding it. I've already got the top of the rear end cleaned down to bare metal. I can't think of any reason why I shouldn't go ahead and tack it right now. Grab the welder, get it all set up over here. That was quick. All right, now I gotta take the bag back out and paint the back side of that plate. Paint the frame that's gonna be trapped behind the plate. And then clean the lines here where I'm gonna be welding. I might just even tape off the lines maybe. That'd be nice. Got this big dent here cleaned up. To see how this is 90 here. This is a 90-degree corner. And then as you work your way over, see how this is dipped way in. I don't know if the camera really shows there. See how my pinky disappears into that corner? So that's how far that's in. It took a hit. The bumper was completely like a V right here.
And then this is what was hiding behind the bumper once I got the bumper off. So I got all the paint cleaned off of it. This is the worst of it right here, but the dent actually goes all the way from here over to here. So I'm gonna try some pins before I go cutting back here. I can't put the gas tank back in until I get everything cleaned underneath the van and painted and this dent fixed, because once the gas tank's in, it sits right there on the other side of that. So I'm just gonna try some pull pins first before I go cutting sections out and to where I can get into it. I can't get into the back side here. Although there is a hole right here for the gas tank strap. So I could get something in there, actually decent size, because that's a pretty big hole. The only problem is the dent is actually over here. But I might be able to get it started by pounding right there. I already kind of straightened this out here. That was all folded in. But I just wanted to kind of judge to see how the metal is moving, how much force it takes to get it to move. Did it again. I don't like it at all. Nope, I don't. Yep, everybody was right. So that one's kind of working. Made a tool. This tool. Mainly this is the side that I'm gonna hammer on. And this is the side that's gonna push it out, hopefully. I cut this access in here. You can see that's the impact point right there. I don't know how any of this is coming through on camera. Hopefully halfway's decent. So I'm just gonna try my biggest ball peen first and then move to the mini sledge, but I don't think, to be honest, I don't think I can swing the mini sledge with one hand. Yeah, that's gonna take quite a bit.
reflection is gonna allow. But you can kind of see it's kind of out right here because this corner is a little rounded, but it doesn't dive in here normally like it, you know, is even close to the way that it did, is what I'm trying to say. Maybe still just a little bit right there. Right there. And this corner isn't quite as sharp as it is in other places. Right here it's kind of rounded. But it's a lot better than what it was. You can really see when I shut the door. But again, I'll take that. I'm making an attempt at getting this nut off, the pinion nut off of the yoke, so I can replace this seal. So what I did was I put a mark there on the pinion, and then also on the nut. You can see that going all the way back there. So I'm gonna count my turns. There's no like area of that nut that you smash in or anything to lock it. There's no locking tab on it. But I'm gonna count the turns so I know that I get that back on the same exact spot that it was in. Oh, that was really loose. Huh. Pretty sure it's supposed to be tighter than that. So I'm gonna tighten it up to the same amount that it was. I wouldn't think that would have anything to do with it leaking. Okay, I'm gonna get a ratchet. Yeah, I don't think it's supposed to be that loose. I wonder if somebody already attempted to replace the seal. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 and a half, 11, 12, 12 and a half, 13, 13 and a half, 14, 14 and a half, 15, 15 and a half, 16, 16. 16 turns. It'd have to come off of there pretty easy for this to work. Maybe it's not that bad getting these off of here though. As easy as that nut came off of there, maybe the yoke's not very tight either. I can see there's oil laying in the bottom of this yoke. I don't think that's left over from me spraying brake clean in there. Maybe it is. I figured the rear end is half empty from all the leaking that it was doing. It kind of looks like there's gear oil like seeping through the splines. I better get the pan though, just in case. And I need to get a socket that fits this puller here. Really thought that I wouldn't lose any. It is working. This has been leaking for a long time. So did I get the right seal? That's the next question. I gotta check that before I go ripping that out of there. Looks like it. Yes, sir. Okay. Can't tell where the seal begins. Gear oil. Nasty, nasty gear oil. Well, at least there's some in there. That makes me feel better. I do not feel any better about this seal, because there is nothing wrong with it. Nope. There ain't a damn thing wrong with that seal. I really don't want to rebuild the rear end until I know what gears I want, which means I need the van running and driving. I guess I'll just have to, if I need to do this, then I need to rely on math, I guess. I don't know if this is the tire size I want. That just does not look good. I don't think you can do that with a new bearing. And I don't think that's a matter of how much I loosen the, just loosening the nut here. I don't know. Once I push it in, I guess some of that comes out of there. The race will probably tell me more than what the bearing does if I just clean up that race in there. If it's rainbow colored and golded, then man, this thing is gritty. I know I didn't just get all that dirt in there. Listen to that. Not golded. There's no color, discoloration to it. I'm taking the rear end out, and I got the shocks out already. And I got the passenger side U-bolts off. So now I'm just doing the driver's side over here.
lovely.
I'm to a point where I've got a bunch of little things that I have to do before I can put the fuel tank or the gas tank back in, or just basically button up the entire rear end. So I've got to decide what I'm going to do about that dent, if I'm going to use Bondo on it or if I'm going to get the pins out, the pull pins, and try to get it more perfect and dolly it and not use any Bondo. But then I'll be upset if I spend another 2 hours on it and then I end up using Bondo anyways. I've made a decision on this 9-inch rear end. I'm probably gonna have to re-gear it, but I really want to drive the van first with this 3.5 gear in it that's in it now. It's 3.5 to 1. I just want to see how that does with the overdrive and how much the 4-cylinder, the 2.3 liter struggles with this gear ratio and the big tires. So I've got a lot going against me with this gear ratio, but I don't want to do all that yet. So what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to clean this, get this all down to bare metal, paint it, have the drums turned, keep the same shoes in it and everything, the same wheel cylinders, springs, put it back together, replace this pinion seal, which I don't think anything was wrong with the one that was in it. And I'm not going to replace the bearing because I don't see anything wrong with that bearing. Once you put a little tension on it, it rolls free, the race looks fine. It just really seems like this nut was too loose. It's supposed to be 200 foot-pounds, which I don't understand. How do you get away with? It almost seems like it needs like almost a full revolution to get to 200 pounds, 200 foot-pounds. I'm going to finish welding these lower bag mounts to the tube, the axle tube. And like I said, just clean it and paint it. The other thing I have to do is cut an access hole in the floor of the van for the electric fuel pump. Clean the entire bottom side of the van down to bare metal, primer it, paint it. I'm dreading that big time. The fuel sending wire, the sending unit wires are frayed and half broken inside the frame of the van, so I've got to run new wiring there before I put the fuel tank back in, and I have to run wiring to the fuel pump itself before I do that. So I've got to finish up that dent and run that wiring before I can really do anything as far as final, putting the rear end back under there, putting the fuel tank back under there, anything like that. I've got some little odds and ends that I have to clean up before I can do that. So that's what this weekend is all about, is dealing with this rear end. Hopefully getting everything cleaned underneath there. Sometimes it seems like it's going to be a bear, and then once I get started, a couple hours later, I don't know what I was so worried about. But all it takes is for one little crevice, like some rusty metal, and then I can't get anything in there, like a wire wheel or a disc or anything in there to clean it, and then that adds hours. That becomes like a half a day just trying to get to certain spots. But the open areas are usually not as bad as what I think they're going to be. But I get filthy. I come out of there, you can see where my mask was and my glasses, and my face is black, my neck is black. So enough talk. I'm gonna switch you over to a time lapse and I'm gonna start cleaning this, stripping it down. I still haven't got it clean yet, but I've got everything on this side as good as I'm gonna get it. I've done about all I can do on this side, so I need to be able to roll it over to the other side, but I can't do that until I get this seal and get the yoke back in. So it's got a little grease on there. I put some gear oil in the bearing and inside the seal. I don't have a socket that big. This is 3-inch. There it went. I believe that's all the way around. Well, maybe not over here. Got a mark on this. Oh, here it is. You can barely see it, but I cut a line in this and it lines up with a spot on the yoke. Oof. Same way here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I put a little slice in there, and I counted the turns also.
6, 7, 8, 9, 15 and a half, 16, 16 turns.
So 17, and this should be at 12 o'clock here. Oh, I gotta count these. Okay, so we're gonna go over here. There's 1, 2 and a half, 3, 4, 5,
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 and a half, 11, 11 and a half, 12 and a half, 13, 13 and a half, 14, 14 and a half, 15, 15 and a half, 16, 16 and 3/4, all right, there's 100, and that was 17. Oh, forget about that. What the? Yeah, and it ended up in the same place. This part of the yoke right here was at 12 o'clock. That's where my other marks are, right there. It got too dark to record last night, so I believe you only missed just the primer. Oh, and then I did the welds on the bag mounts, the lower bag mounts. I had to do that before I could paint, so I wasn't re-cleaning metal. So, and the bottom side is not primed yet, so it's only the top. Just the way that it sits right now is the only part that's primed. The drums are done. They've got the rust converter, primer, and the final coat of paint. So the drums are actually done. I don't know, I guess I'm gonna put cardboard in between the axle and the jack stands. Getting ready to do the final black on the under here. I'm only gonna go back I'm gonna do this area, the wheel wells, and then back to here. And then I can get the rear end in. And get the airbags put back in, even put the drive shaft in, really. And then I've got some work to do on the fuel tank. I've got to put an access hatch in right here. And I've got to finish up with the back. I've got to make a decision exactly how perfect I'm going to get that on the other side, I mean on the back of the van. And then I can button this back up, weld it back up, and then I'll paint everything and then get the fuel tank in. I'm gonna give you some time lapse now. Getting ready to wrestle this thing back under here. Got my cardboard runners. I'm gonna try to use the yoke, drive it under there, so to speak. Probably give you some time lapse action here, and then once I get it under there and start hooking it up to the leaf springs, then I'll switch over to video. Wish me luck. Trying to get this perch to line up with the leaf spring and start getting this mounted back to the springs. I'm gonna start with the driver's side. It's gotta go forward. Yeah, that was probably it right there. I think I want to pull it up to the perch. Or pull the perch up to the springs, I guess would be a better way to say it. Rather than jack it up to it and then tighten it, I want to see how, as I'm tightening these nuts, I want to watch and see how it's meeting up with the spring. So, you know, that one did hold it still. Luckily for me, there's a bolt that holds all of the springs together, and the nut to that bolt sticks up through the center here, through that plate, so you can't misalign this plate. And then the bottom, there's a pin that locates inside of this perch here. So it's not a matter of, I really can't change the angle of the rear end or side to side or anything like that. So in my mind, I really can't mess anything up. And I did take measurements on this. This U-bolt here was exactly 3 1/16 from this backing plate on the drum. Doing that. You want to send it down from the bottom or from the top. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing over here. Just kind of start drawing it up, watching it, making sure it comes up straight. Right now the pin is not lined up. Now I'm gonna check the tape measure and check between the backing plate and the U-bolt, and just kind of make sure that I'm in the same place that I was before I took it apart. Okay, I had 3 1/16 on the driver's side before. Now I have 3 1/4. Yep, it's dead on where it was before. Technically, I can tighten this side up now. I've got the passenger side up far enough to where I'm not worried about the angle or anything. I can draw this up. Okay, so that's 90 right there. I'm gonna see how that feels. Yeah, that's about right, actually. I'm gonna stick with 90. This passenger side was 3 1/4 from the backing plate to the U-bolt. That's 3 3/8. There's 3 1/4. $90. the lowers. I have to worry about. I should be able to tighten these lower ones. No, I'll wait. I'll get the upper ones done, and then in case I've got to align it, I can move it just a tad bit. Since this is the final time I'm doing these, I'm gonna really torque them instead of just trusting the Okay, time for the driver's side. I'm going to try to do this just like I did the other side. See if I can pull that up and over. Ouch. Yep. That's what I do. I scratch up all the paint that I just completed. Alright. Upper mounts are done. Here's my wrench. I'm laying on it. Okay. Bags are done. Doing the driver's side shock. These are Gabriel, and they're made in Mexico. This is I can't remember what the model was. Gabriel, like classic series or something like that. It's got this sleeve that goes in here, this steel sleeve that I put in there. It was in a separate bag. I don't know if some models, like an E300, maybe has a larger shock stud, so maybe it doesn't use the sleeve, but I caught that just before I was getting ready to put them in there. And it gets a washer. Two washers actually, a washer on the back side and one on the front side. Up top. It appears the bolt has to go in through this side. It won't seat on the other side. Yeah, it wasn't so bad. Emergency brakes are no way. Probably get it on there, then I won't be able to take it off. get this top one here. Driver's side shock is done. I just have this fuel line sitting, brake line. Just so I remember it, so I've got this when I go to do the brake line, I'll remove this and then I'll copy the design, the shape of it, the bends. Doing the passenger shock. If I can get in here. I just measured so that way, because I'm not sure how close I am, the bags can go farther than the shocks, if that makes sense. That's 17 3/4 fully extended. So when I pump the airbags up, I'm gonna measure the shocks. I'm gonna take an air pressure reading when the shocks are fully extended, and then I'll know on the dash inside the van when I'm pumping up the rear, I can't exceed a certain PSI because my shocks can't handle anymore. 17 3/4 fully extended. Seems tight enough. Seems tight enough. I gotta go in for the night. It's 2 a.m. But I'm gonna get one last thing done here before I go in. I'm getting this drive shaft put in so I can concentrate on the fuel tank and the fuel hatch, the fuel pump hatch tomorrow. Ugh. I know that's tighter than they were when I took it apart. All right. New U-joints. Both U-joints are new. Both have grease zerks. Both are greased. I'm cutting the access for the fuel pump, so you don't have to, if the electric pump gives me fits, I won't have to drop the tank in order to get to it. So I'm going to cut this out and then build a frame underneath it. But I've got it all marked out here. I'm going to get to cutting. ready to install the fuel tank. I've got these lines done, or the hoses just clamped in, ready to go. I've got a connector on the way, but I'll be able to do that when it's in the van, as far as putting a connector on there to send power to the pump. I put some rubber when I ordered the fuel pump from Tanks Inc. No, my bad. Wait, from Jeff's Bronco Graveyard. I ordered the sending unit, the float for the sending unit, because the sending unit in the old 73 sending unit in here, this one right here, was still working. It's just the float was full of fuel. The float was full of fuel. So I just replaced the float with a new composite type instead of the hollow brass. Anyways, I saw this when I was ordering the float. They had other fuel parts, fuel tank parts, and I got these 2 strips of rubber. This is high quality. This is some thick stuff, and it's like real rubber. So I went ahead and cut some strips of this. Can you see that there? And then I used rubber, black super weather strip adhesive. I already had this for weather stripping in my van that kept falling down. So, and this was expensive too. So I'm glad that I already had it, because I don't know what else would have worked. This worked great for this rubber here. So I got a strip on that strap, strip on the strap, just where it comes in contact with the fuel tank. Same way with this one here. I've already kind of wanted to judge if I'm going to be able to put these straps in after I lift the tank up there, or if the straps already have to be in. I believe they already have to be in, because you can't manipulate them. You can't turn them like you need to turn them in order to get them to seat. And then I also put strips here on the body where the tank meets the body. This one here is the only one not holding on so well. Probably should have put some more adhesive there, but it's not a big deal. The tank doesn't even touch right there. And then same way here. Put a strip on each one of these, just to maybe stop the squeaks and keep, steel from rubbing on steel. I got pretty paint on there and stuff, So, getting ready to put that in. I've got the sending unit wire run. I ran a string along with the sending unit wire to, because I got to run the fuel pump wire through there. And that goes through this back rail here, right beside the filler tube and the vent line. I got that all ready to go. I got the filler hooked up here. So just getting ready to muscle the tank up here. I think I'm going to lay it on my chest and then just lift it up into place and put one of the straps. I just don't know how it's going to go with the filler neck. I don't know how hard that filler hose is going to be to get on the tank. I put silicone on it, but so we'll have to see. Okay, it's connected. Like all things, easier said than done. I got a fuel tank on my face. There's all the lines. Hoses, I should say. How in the heck am I going to do that filler neck? This doesn't really feel like the best plan. It probably looks about the same. Like a bad plan. Okay, got the passenger side. Now I gotta check this filler before I go doing anything on the driver's side. Just does not look like that thing is all the way on. Oh, Charlie horse. I just made this little filter bracket here. Just took some thin steel, bent it around the filter, and then I put a slice in the center of it. Because this is just a generic filter, a 5/16 filter that I got at O'Reilly's. And once it's tight, it's really tight, so it'll work. I ran the fuel line and the return line. Actually, the pressure line, I've only got it in the space. Not real happy with my work so far. Here's the problem. I have to put these flares on the end. I don't have a flaring tool that I can use underneath the van. I probably really should just pick up an old school generic little flare tool, because when I run brake lines, this is going to be an issue. How are you supposed to know exactly how long your line's going to be after all the bends and everything, and then flare the ends? And it runs through this whole system right here. There's these little rubber grommets. I'll show you later once I get the lines. I mean, I love the grommets that Ford did that fit in those like triangle areas. And I haven't straightened this pressure line yet. I still have to finish the pressure line back there by the tank. See it hanging down there. I've got the return line all hooked up and the little section of hose going from the pump, the top of the electric pump, over, and got it in its bracket. So I've got to go back and do that with the pressure line also. But I just really wanted it straighter and more perfect. Had to move the carbon canister. This is the bracket for the carbon canister, which is right here. And there's the other part of the bracket. That used to be over here next to the transmission, but I extended the cross member for the transmission, so the carbon canister, I could not get it to fit there. But then I just came to the other side and realized that I had room right here, so this is its new home. So I'm getting ready to run the vent line. I'm gonna finish up these two fuel lines, and then I'm gonna run the vent line from the tank into the carbon canister.